you want to join us at the table since there's not a lot of people
My
here?
voice is overweight.
I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Hopefully others trickle in. I know there's a lot of traffic coming in today too, so. But we do have lots to cover. So thanks everybody for coming tonight and for adjusting with us and room situation. I think it's going to work out for other people are able to join. When you made your way in, you should have grabbed a few handouts after signing in. There was a comment form that we would like back after this, and if not, you're welcome to scan that in and send it to us after. And there was also a handout on draft goals and policies that we'll briefly go over, as well as a packet of transportation projects for the LCI that Jeff will go over later on. So, and as a part of our agenda, we will go over the project schedule and just give you a status update there. Ainsley will give a brief update on public engagement and things that we've done since our last meeting. We'll also, again, briefly discuss goals and policies, which will lead into our discussion about the community work program, which is going to be the main point of our discussion this evening. And Jeff will also give a brief overview about how to read the LCI project and funding document. This is going to be a big part of our next meeting. So this is our last meeting about the comprehensive plan before it gets transmitted to BCA and NRC. And we'll meet again in January to talk about the LCI in more detail. So just as a quick update with the project schedule, we are nearing, like I said, the transmittal date, which in November for the Department of Community Affairs review, as well as the Atlanta Regional Commission. So we will have a draft plan for you all to review over the next month. Right now, for this meeting, we want to focus on those draft goals and policies that we've discussed, as well as the in-progress community work program. So we'll talk about key projects from that tonight and get feedback there. And you will get a more detailed list as a part of the draft plan to get feedback on. And the public will also see that as well at the open house that's coming up on October 19th. That's in a couple weeks here. Just wanted to flash this slide up here just to let you know some of the things that we're also taking into consideration in addition to this planning effort. So a lot of projects from the plans and efforts that you see here on the screen will fall into the community work program as well, just so that the city is holding itself accountable for considering those things over the next 5 years. So some examples of projects, well, actual projects that we're looking into that are ongoing are, Williams Target Industry Study is the Parks and Green Space Trails Plan, the CTP and the Unified Plan done by the county. It's going to be a lot of the projects that are at least adjacent to the city, some that might directly affect the city. And the ongoing efforts that is the ARC Green Communities Program, which I know a couple years ago the city put a lot of effort into. I know that's constantly being reviewed and revisited, so we want to make sure some of those elements are getting incorporated into this comprehensive plan update, as well as some completed plans you see here on the screen as well. So if there's anything missing, please let us know. I know some people mentioned a couple of these, and we just want to make sure we're incorporating all the relevant efforts the city is undertaking. So I'll hand it over briefly to Ainsley to give a public engagement update.
All right, we'll test this touch screen. Nice. All right, hey everyone. So we've had several engagement events since we last met. So just wanted to share what we've heard and collected input on. One of those, a few of you actually came out and helped at. So thanks, Kathleen, you're one of them. We went out to the our middle school open house when school kicked off and had a good engagement event to try to hear more from the Hispanic population. It was successful. We had a small survey we conducted there. We also tried to recruit folks to participate in our Hispanic focus group. And then we even allowed the kids to participate in drawing activities, some of the drawings shown here. So we asked about both citywide needs and transportation needs for the town center. So I think I skipped forward, but some of the citywide needs were more walking and biking paths, more grocery options, and more places to eat and shop. Transportation needs, we heard the most need for sidewalks and bike lanes. But crosswalks and bus stops were also seen as important for a lot of people. Then I alluded to the Hispanic folks group. We did put a lot of effort into trying to recruit people to participate in that. We had reached out to 6 people that had signed up at the summer hour event. It was a little difficult getting it scheduled. 3 people had said they could come, and then unfortunately it was just one person that ended up, one adult that ended up coming, but she brought her daughter as well. And we did have a great conversation. We highlighted some of the takeaways here. This interview was conducted entirely in Spanish, and we heard a lot about this woman's neighborhood. She lives near Summer Hour, and some of her needs and preferences for the future. Talked about preserving our trees. Oh, sorry, keep moving forward. She talked about maintaining the quaintness of the community and having a sense of safety here. For future growth, she was really focused on maintaining single family neighborhoods and wants to see more park space. In terms of more needs, the ability to ride bikes safely, getting to medical assistance faster, more job opportunities, and then improvements on our roads. So this was,
By chance, did she say which stoplights the signal improvements?
we did, so we did have a map present, so we actually have a marked up map that we provided so that we can show, we can get that sent out. Yeah.
That would be useful, I mean, to, I don't know if we give it to council or
Yeah.
the police or what, but that to me seems a high priority for something that we might be able to do.
Yeah.
Something about.
Absolutely, yeah.
Listen to people.
Yeah, I can yell at other people.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right, and then one of our biggest things we've done in the last month here was we had a virtual public meeting September 7th, and then following that, there was a feedback survey open for 3 weeks. We collected feedback on the proposed projects for the Livable Centers Initiative plan. And Jeff's going to be talking in more detail about those projects later on in the presentation. But we did get 129 comments on projects. I would say majority were very supportive of the ideas that we were showing. There were some projects with negative comments. Those with the most negative comments were one of the projects about parking along Foster Street. And extending Wingo Street. So that's something I think the public participation is playing into how projects get prioritized. So we'll talk more about that. You know, what the input. Yeah, Jeff, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so in the 2012 LCI project list, there was a project to extend Wingo Street to the south, sort of to round out the block. But
already, you talking about the school?
Well, past Greg and Laura's house, which
Yeah,
might have something to say about that.
yeah. So to the other side of the school.
Yeah.
Okay. got it.
yes, spoiler alert, that's been removed.
And then gateways were something that kind of received mixed levels of support, and gateways in this plan could mean a lot of things. Signage, they can mean stone columns. I think we'll talk what they look like more throughout this meeting as well. I think people who are more negative about them thought there were better ways to spend the city's money. So, you know, we'll talk about that.
So where did the LCI project list come from? Is that from a past LCI? Did somebody just come up with some projects? What projects were they commenting on?
Yeah. Jeff, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so yeah, there was an extensive list from the 2012 LCI, and we took that, and of course we removed the projects that had already been, right? Then we removed the projects that were no longer applicable. For example, the development there on Beaufort Highway with the library, removed one of the streets. Obviously, we don't need any more improvements to that street that's been removed, things like that. I think there was one that was talking about putting a gate up between a road and the railroad, but since then it's actually been landscaped between the road and the railroad. So it didn't seem reasonable anymore to have that as part of the list. And then there were a couple that we added, just in talks with the community and some of the feedback we've been hearing, discussions with the staff, like a new crossing at summer hour, pulling some things from other plans, the Beaufort Highway Master Plan talked about wide sidewalks along both sides of Beaufort Highway, so that was included as well. So mostly old with a mix of new and just a general update all across the board.
Where did we find that?
We're about to go over it, yeah.
Yeah,
We have one of your handouts as well. One of your handouts has too.
Awesome. And then our second survey that was open the last bit of September was to collect feedback on the character areas, the future development map. And a lot of this stems straight from what we talked about at our last steering committee, and some of the proposed boundary changes were asked about on the survey. And then we also wanted to validate the vision and needs for each area in the current future development map. So on this one, we had 56 participants on our English survey and 2 on the Spanish survey. Just to get a sense of who participated, here's kind of the demographic breakdown. Again, we heard more so from populations in the older age ranges, 45 and higher, and then also the higher income demographics, and the white percentage was the majority on the survey, but we did get a mix of who participated. And then we're going to be talking in more detail about what the survey results tell us for the future development map. But when we asked about the vision for each character area, a lot of them were really still on point. We found that there was over 80% agreement on each of the vision statements and the nodes that are on Beaufort Highway. So that was great to see that. Hopefully there's not too much change needed, but we'll go into we had a lot of open-ended feedback, so we've been digesting that and thinking about how that could impact changes to the map, and Jonathan will walk us through that.
Yeah, thank you, Ansley. I think it's great to get consistent feedback about what is already in place, because that way that the previous comprehensive plan was sort of doing its job, and in the sense of having good policy for the character areas. So we just we'll revisit some of the character area feedback that we got in a moment. So we're going to move on to goals and policies. Just a quick overview about the plan development and how we've gotten to this point and how we're moving forward. The community vision, of course, has been established by this group and by the community since we've done surveys. What we will be asking about it again at the open house to confirm that detail. And today, and moving forward, we will be reviewing the goals and the associated policies under each of those goals that we've developed. Again, these are based on the previous plan, but they've been updated in the handout that you have in front of you based on what we've heard from you all and from the community. So feel free to skim through that in a moment here. And of course, these aspirations that are outlined in the goals and associated policies are now being filtered through the needs and opportunities that we've gathered over time. So these will all be used, these will all come together to create the community work program, which are going to be the action items that for the next 5 years for the city to pursue. So what we've covered so far is the vision. Like I said, this vision statement has rang true for the community, and from what we've heard from you all. Again, we'll get feedback on this at the open house. We have an updated future development map. We'll go through in a moment here. Priority needs and opportunities, and then the goals that Jim will go through, as well as the community work program. So this is everything we have so far, and we're moving forward now. Yeah, everyone wants to take a second look at the vision statement one more time. See if it still makes sense.
So I'm going to get real particular.
Okay.
I've seen where citizens has been replaced with other words, that creates a connotation.
Residents is.
Residence is more acceptable.
Okay, that's 55. Folks agree with that?
Yeah,
I think that encompasses people who live here, right? Residents.
correct.
On some level, though, I don't know that that we should limit this to people who live here. People who are visiting, people who work here.
Put that by historians, the resident, community member. You know, because they're not all US citizens, so we have to, that's what we're staying away from, but to be fair, they're not all residents.
Community members can be people who work here too. People who frequent the area.
So it's not one word, but community member is.
Just say residents and visitors, just add and visitors.
Yeah, but I mean, a visitor, somebody who works here, who's worked on, Marshall, for instance, worked in this area for many, many years, and didn't live here, well, I wouldn't really call it a visitor, it was a stakeholder.
I wouldn't stakeholder good, I own business,
But your employees, they weren't really visitors here, they spent a good bit of their lives here,
Right.
they didn't live here.
they, lots of meals and restaurants downtown.
Right. Communities. Generations of diverse communities can engage. The only thing is that it is the
Populous?
place.
Populous is
Norcross would be.
a one word.
Yeah, populous, what's
Populous.
another word for populous?
How about just
Um, Multitude, mob.
There you
I like leaves and go that. Proletariat, public,
I mean, you could just,
Society.
you could just say diverse people.
people, the public, just people.
I
like people.
I like people.
People.
I like people because it's
All in
not the
favor?
individual.
People.
All right, suggestion. How about switching it? Norcross will be a dynamic and welcoming community in which diverse generations get engaged, create, contribute, flourish.
Okay.
Generations.
Diverse generations,
Of diverse, of diverse.
rich, diverse generations.
The only problem with that is that it sort of makes it to where it prefers people who stay here a long time.
Yeah.
And somebody could come and then leave, and they matter just as much as somebody who's spent generations here.
People could.
Diverse people can engage.
Individuals.
I wanted to go back. That caught my attention as you flipped through it.
I'm glad you called that out. Let's go with, not that it's my call, but let's go with people and get feedback from the community. Is that okay? Okay. All right, so you all, assuming you fit the survey, and if you did, you all have seen these maps based on our discussion at our last steering committee meeting. So all of the changes received positive feedback, and I just want to go through each one individually. But this first one here was the piece of Atlantic PID, the character area 1, that's currently in the red. You all kind of called that out as something that would be more appropriate in character area 5, and not because it's what it looks like today, but it might be something that's more appropriate for the future. So right now, since it is a little more industrial, it is more connected to Hopewell Woods character area. So that's kind of the feedback we took from you all.
So the two lots at the end of the cul-de-sac, do they access the cul-de-sac or do they access Atlantic?
They access the cul-de-sac.
So they should be included
They
also.
really, I mean, there's a wood chipping facility on that right now, but they open up to Hopewell Woods.
Are you talking about these two up here?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. There's a very distinct line between the truck courts of the buildings along the Atlantic and the stuff on the hill. And if those two are on the hill,
yeah.
then we need to do that line over, please.
Okay. I think that makes sense because those parcels are already included in
Yeah.
what it's touching, so I think that's fine. Any other feedback here? And we printed the map too. If you need more time to go, just walk up to it and feel free to.
Go back one, so those, you know, so this road no longer exists. There's a water tank right there. This is the actual road. This is a house and this is a house.
Yeah, there's a business.
And this is Blue Moon Motorcycle. So it might be that it's really down in the weeds, but those two really are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they should be left in the blue.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, leave it as red,
Leave it as red?
yeah.
You think it should be left as red
Yeah,
for
because-
future,
You've got the water tower, that whole corner is water tower, so. I'd say leave it as red, because if Blue Moon expands into that area, you know, what happens if they buy those two lots and expand the building? Sells a couple more motorcycles. I think it's a clean break.
you could almost argue then that this over here ought to be red because this is all commercial.
No, that's residential now.
No, this is Kelly right there. This is a Range Rover shop and, and office space and LED lights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So maybe if we're gonna leave those red, then this should continue across the way here to be red.
So would that include all these, like,
Yeah,
these parcels?
right, correct.
Fun. How'd you do it before? You were.
I don't know.
We have a smart board expert. How do you do
You want to mark on it or erase
Yeah,
it?
yeah, go ahead. Oh, there we go. Cool. So we would include this, right? And you're saying like go down
Yeah,
like that, include all this?
correct, yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes sense, guys?
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, yeah.
We can save it. since it's a
Just in
smart
case it
board,
doesn't.
so-
change.
Yeah, that's true.
so you're taking everything from Kelly down to Duke Carter, turning it red.
All commercial right now.
Yeah. Good point, yeah.
And then, so go back to, so the water tower stays blue, is that right? Or does it go red?
Yeah, it stays blue.
It stays blue.
I don't think it really matters what area it's in because it's county owned.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's kind of a border and everything.
Okay. Since this is a change we're gonna make after the survey, I think we just call that out in our boards.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay. So the next one is the area that is along South Peachtree, that was previously, or that's currently a part of Character Area 6 along Buford Highway. This was called out as an area that should be more like the town center, the downtown area. So these are the lines that we've drawn. They look kind of, it's jagged because of the weird property lines. But if you get a chance to take a closer look, I think it makes sense.
Where's the church? Is it the lower right, the temple, and they bought all that property?
That's gonna be right here because these are the residences that we bought on Stevens for the police. So this is gonna be the temple. These are the police, the new public safety building goes right there.
Okay. So does the temple stay red or does it go blue?
It is included in the blue because on either side of it is, well, whatever this color is. Yeah. Sorry.
And we left out the public safety center of this area, and kept it at 6 because it's along Buford Highway. I figured it would be a good compliment to that. Any comments on this one?
I have a fundamental problem with it, but
I remember that.
well, I think that block between Buford, Jimmy Carter, Peachtree, and what's the place that stays in Stevens? That whole block, you know, you got the church in there, they're gonna continue to expand. But what's left over could become some type of retail development.
Down the side of it.
Yeah, for the highway and
I would say that this out here should probably stay with 6. Because these last parcels at front Jimmy Carter, they're commercial.
I mean, that whole intersection is gonna change when they take the light away, so it'll.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah, so they all kind of belong to.
I don't know that the town center character area precludes retail development. I think it just doesn't matter what it looks like.
I'm just thinking of more dense, but. That area's some cut out. Okay,
So keep the areas or the parcels that are right along Jimmy Carter Boulevard in 6. And that's the only change.
Yeah. Keep them. Short,
We received most positive feedback on this one, which I was, kind of surprised about. I thought this would trip people up. But this was a matter of combining character areas 6 and 11 along Jimmy Carter Boulevard. If you look at the narrative right now as it is in the current plan, they both read exactly the same. They just, the main difference is the height, and we can certainly speak that in the plan.
You can certainly what that,
We can speak that in the plan. It doesn't need
to
to be.
allow more height.
That's what I want to ask you guys. Do we allow for the most restrictive height, or do we do
Command it.
the maximum that's one?
Maximum.
I think you need to take that line up to north.
In the previous plan, the only thing about that was that 11 abuts the neighborhoods in character area 11.
There's nothing but commercial over there now.
Okay.
There's tree service and a grant place, there's private school.
Where's the building going now? Is that,
That's going right.
on the south end of
Yeah, but
That's going right.
I'd say that having a buffer along there.
It goes right here, Jim.
That's the new building?
Yeah, that's the new
Yeah,
building.
90,000 square foot off. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that should probably be part of.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is all of this should be
Yeah.
included in.
Except that there are residences across the street.
Yeah.
And so what's there is there, but perhaps we don't want more commercial right up to the homes that are on the other side of the street.
Well, I got it, but all of this is already commercial.
Well,
Right, but if you
It's
change the
converted
character
and-
area to allow,
and-
what we're asking for is maximum height to be able to do things on Jimmy Carter.
And
But if you allow maximum height to do things on Norcross Tucker, then you have maximum height across the street from small single family homes.
Can you write it with a step down on for the residential?
Yeah, we did have a policy about stuff down height.
And it might already have that. So
You know, and then, because the majority of the houses on the north side of Old Norcross are quasi, commercial anyway.
Yeah, that's right. You've got the flower shop on that side of the
Yeah,
road,
yeah.
and the accounting office on that side of the road.
And
And then you have a half dozen homes of people who live there.
But you only have, I think you only have,
But
from the
again,
power company down, you have the one house on the corner with a burn took place, and you have like 3 more, and then it gets commercial, and you have 2 at the entrance. One at the entrance.
There's more. I've knocked on every door on that street. There's more. houses there. Yeah, but this is down that road a lot. Yeah, this is a lot of.
I do it every day, twice a day, coming and going to work, and,
I think, in my mind, it needs to be extended because it already is commercial,
yeah.
but then you need to put a step down,
policy in there.
policy.
I think
So what's the
that's
step down policy?
just ensuring the properties along.
The height reduces as you get a certain distance from residential.
And we can be even more specific about directly on south, on North Norcross Tucker Road.
I also want to point out, like, we're talking about the character areas, the character of these areas. If you draw that line in Norcross Tucker, like, the character on one side of the road is gonna be totally different from the character on the other side.
It already is, that's my point.
So there's 16 homes, there's 16 buildings,
Is that what we?
house
want in the
buildings
future?
on that side of the street.
It's about what we want for the
Right.
future. But also,
So-
one thing that people said was that they wanted to preserve our green spaces and our trees. And so if you change the character of, I know that there are businesses there, but they look like homes.
So continuing that line of thought, what we're ultimately asking for is for that new 90,000 square foot warehouse to be torn down and it becomes single family residential along there.
I'm all
Because that's
for,
what character is.
but I'm all for including the 9,000 square foot warehouse in character 11. That's fine. That's a good, because that's already.
Done, it's
Yeah,
done,
done.
right.
It's gonna be there for a while, but I don't think the rest of that should become 11, just because another thing is that if you want this corridor that comes down into downtown, that's more welcoming for walking and everything. Again, I just feel like single family home on both sides, even if it's businesses right now, it still just sets more of a neighborhood.
And the Mitchell Road, sorry, the Mitchell Road neighborhood, so the character area 11, I think also has the policy about supporting commercial types of commercial businesses that would support neighborhoods. So that this also does not preclude commercial businesses happening on that corridor. They would just be more conducive to the neighborhood feel. So, and this is a gateway corridor, so it's a matter of like what you want to see going down the road.
We've already allowed commercial. So maybe,
But again, this is the vision, so maybe what we do is you start to you know, what you're trying to encourage development along there is sort of back to residential.
Right.
By division. Neighborhood type deal down there.
You don't let the next parcel that's vacant down there go. First, third. Yeah, I know which one that is, that's the one in South.
Put in mind, there's one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a warehouse being built on the back of North Park, you just have to figure out what part, so maybe a couple of parcels on there, but you can do that. In 11,
Yeah, where my little red dot is no name is drawn on.
Okay. Well, let's go to that and get feedback from the public. We'll call this out on that board as well.
I'm hoping that they put a lot of landscaping screen that warehouse, but it is.
Well, if they made it
it's great.
brick, they made it look like brick, it's not really brick, it's still,
Yeah, yeah.
but they embedded, brick pattern, it looks good.
All right, so the last,
I think in 6 months, you just blow right by it without even putting it twice. And then you'd be looking at the tax proceeds, when you're on council.
You already got a tenant now, built.
in the interest of time, we'll just run through this last change. I think this, we had the most agreement among this group. This was a part of character area 7 and 8, what is east of Summer Hour and Buford Highway, being pulled into character area 9. Right now, I think there's some townhouses going up there that just match, that are more in line with character area 9. And everybody in this group seemed to be doing it last time, and we got good feedback on this from the public, so just wanted to get feedback on this as well.
So, then,
Yes. Yeah. And 8 is the more industrial area along the highway.
does 9 go down to Beaver River and 7 stop on the south side of Beaver River? There seems to be a little split or 7 on the corner.
Where is that?
Beaver River, where Beaver River meets Jimmy Carter.
Right above the V
Yeah,
in Beaver River.
You mean Price?
yeah.
Or Beaver Highway?
The corner, yeah. You got, is that green on the north of Beaver River, is that still part of 7?
No,
It
this
was
whole
supposed to
block.
go to 9.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I'm
So
sorry.
that was good.
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I'm just reading the text here,
No
okay.
worries.
This map over here shows 9 to the left of Summer Hour, to the bottom of Summer Hour, but this map is 9.
Oh, that is a mistake. We'll disregard that. We'll mark that up. I think this was meant to say a part of 7. Okay. Because it's at the corner of Mitchell.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good catch.
We'll mark that up. Any feedback on this boundary change? Okay, so
So does that, is 9? No, 9's not crossing the travel.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry.
that's okay. So these changes have been made. We'll fix this map. Apologies for that error. And we'll send this back out if you all have any final feedback that you want to send over to us, or feel free to make any other comments in your comment form.
So I just have a question about some of the other character areas, because we went through a lot of them in detail the first meeting or the last meeting and did you get feedback from people at all about the character areas that only allow single family residents to allow duets? Not apartments, but was there any feedback of missing middle in any of these character areas?
I would need to go back through that.
Yeah, let me pull up the results.
And I just think about it because the county has
Yeah.
just finally passed a missing middle ordinance update for county land, outside of our city, but it just made me curious.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing that terminology at least. I did see certain references to more density or at times people say no apartments, so.
Right,
we
but
did-
there's a difference between an apartment and.
Yeah, I didn't hear much about the in between, the missing middle, so. I'll read through it though, and let you know if
Yeah.
I see something right, as I go through this one.
Let us get back to that. That's okay. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna hand it over to Jim now to talk through the needs and opportunities, those goals that we were discussing and the community work programs. So thank you for the bulk of the rest of our meeting. So if
You're
anybody,
getting Jeff.
that's true.
I'm not the fault.
All depends what they want to talk about, right? All right, well, thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, if you recall, back to that previous slide, which was talking about the vision and the next role. Let me just go back so you can see what we're talking about. You have the vision, which is, a statement as well as the policy map, which really is the vision for the future. The next thing that we did as part of the planning process, of course, is to identify the priority needs and opportunities, which I'm about to go over, which then goes into the goals. The goals are what kind of feed into the community work program. So it's all kind of a progression as we go through here. So what I want to talk about is, after looking at all the existing conditions, what's changed the last 5 years, while the community is going, these are the priority needs and opportunities that the plan is trying to address. Okay. So, and again, this is primarily from the last, or the current plan, I should say. We didn't see a lot of changes or anything, but we just wanted to kind of touch base, make sure you guys are on board with this. Mainly, well, let's just go through it. Sense of community, small town feel, level of community services as new development comes online. So try to maintain and enhance all that. Ensure housing is available to all residents. Make unite the community across cultural background, socioeconomic status, address transportation needs and traffic congestion, attracting younger families, invest in our schools, improve quality of life and sustainable practices, and then leverage technology to explore smart street technologies. It's nice to keep doing that. Let's see here. The one thing when we were talking with staff, it seemed like, the last plan, well, I think we did a good job on a lot of these, but the one that we really didn't do too much with over the last 5 years, and it's a question I have, is leverage technology and explore smart street technology, smart city technology. That's something your neighbor to the north has really been investing in heavily. That's part of their image. I mean, the Norcross image is more like, hey, we're an historic town. We have we're a diverse community. We have a lot of culture stuff. Is that still a priority, need, and opportunity? I just kind of want to throw that out there.
So you get ready to spend money on a downtown smart city plan or whatever you want.
Smart
Smart
parking.
parking.
Yes.
So they're dipping the toe in the process, so.
I want to make sure.
I think you've got a couple council members that are very much in favor of trying to figure that out.
Okay, I just want.
They don't have much direction now, so it's been. I think this parking study will kind of start that.
Okay. I just want to make sure, bring that up, make sure we're still on point, but does that all seem accurate to you all in terms of party needs, opportunities in this final address? The change in any way, shape, or form? That was the only one that we kind of flagged earlier. Want to make sure.
We're getting a lot of feedback on what to do about the whole bridge. People that are just using it as a cut.
So again, addressing
Getting on it, just feature industrial, coming through the view highway, just using it as a cut. And how can we?
Fortunately, there's already bridges across the river.
I know.
Yeah.
So, right, yeah, I remember when I used to have to go home and Jimmy Carter.
Right.
Across the freeway, that's what I used to, now really.
But I think that's embodied in that, address transportation needs and traffic congestion, but, certainly
We support the expansion of traffic, increase local vehicle count. I'm being asked if there's some ways to divert that traffic. Make it go away. Add traffic calming devices like roundabouts, things of that nature. Try to discourage that.
Discourage cut through traffic.
That's just what I'm being asked about.
Would like that to do sunset. Do a light for.
One challenge is that's a county road.
Yeah.
And so I think that the council has taken a new interest in figuring out how that becomes a city road, because we talked about lowering the speed limit to 25 all the way out to Atlantic and then putting a stop sign in at the subdivision there.
Right.
And that could slow things down. But I mean, stop signs can be a overheavy because then people are peeling out from the stop sign. I don't know what.
You'll kill people for the stop sign there. Because they can fly lines at that intersection of Atlantic, and then it goes 2 to 1. You have, if that gets backed up, I do it every day, and it's already a mess. If you put a stop sign there, you're gonna kill somebody. You know, I think this section of Holcomb from the railroad tracks to the Beaufort Highway is city. Like that,
The city road starts at the railroad tracks and goes down to the
Yeah.
highway, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
so you can put a roundabout it, you know, I don't know,
Gosh, the way that is, right?
Yeah.
Allen Street, is that seated?
yeah.
Or a stop sign there, or something, just to
Or-
encourage, just to try to make it, I'm just being asked to try to make it less inviting for people that aren't residents. I remember when Vista Road went to DeKalb County was 2 lanes. All the Venetians kept bitching about it, and Kev said, why are we gonna make this community? You know? A lot of we were spending our tax on your community.
Make your community easier, yeah.
We could just do like 400 south and make a toll, you know.
Well, that to me is like something we should look at in the policy. So yeah, keep that in mind as we kind of go through all of this and you know, the idea is to try to, like you say, cut down traffic through residential areas. So I think it's important. That's an important policy or goal that we should definitely pursue. So anyway, those needs and opportunities feed into the goals. These are the current goals that we have in the plan. But if you recall, we've had conversations about this already, and we've actually had some recommended a few changes to it. And this first one, you know, said continue to define Norcross's sense of place. We've added the word unique. We've added where nature-based and historic assets are conserved and enhanced. And this is some of the feedback we got back from the parks, greenways, and trails dudes about that. I just want to run that all by you. I think we kind of touched upon this in like first or second reading. But does that all sound reasonable? That first change there?
Right.
Okay. And the only other change that we really made
Yeah, I
was,
think they'll stop the old fashioned. Personally, I mean.
oh, you think it's because of this work?
I think I think it's a step back, but that's forward. But again, that's personal view.
Yeah.
Sharing the screen on the Zoom. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're not sharing the screen on the
I
Zoom?
just realized that.
Oh, how do you, go ahead.
Let's see.
With technical issues here, apparently, we're not recording the screen on the Zoom, so. Probably make for a weird recording if we're all talking about something you can't see, right?
That's okay, we'll make that simple.
That's
Just wanna
how
make
all
sure.
of the meetings in here are. If you watch the recordings,
Oh, really?
you don't ever get to see what's on the screen.
Oh,
All the
really?
council
Really?
meetings, Yeah.
Good grief. And this is where council does all their work
Policy
and
work
stuff.
session.
Yeah.
I think this will go away. Oh,
So is it doing it now?
yes, it's sharing now.
Okay, where were we? We're right here. Yeah. Do the little
I think it
go away
goes away.
over time.
Julie, does that just go away?
Yes.
Okay.
You can, or say, if you have your website. And hide.
Video, no, hide clothing. Okay.
What
Thank
about the
you.
one that- one-
Let's try to pull it off.
Is it the negative? Oh, there you go. There you go.
Only the same one.
Okay.
It's hard to everyone who has to.
So anyway, the other goals we have here, continue to strengthen Norcross, a livable, inclusive, and safe environment.
So you go back up to number 1.
Yeah. You still think it's dodgy?
Where nature-based and local assets are enhanced.
Or in historic assets? Or you wouldn't say local assets?
Include local. Oh, you're killing. Drop conserved.
What if you say cultural assets?
Our brand is turn of the century railroad town.
Cultural assets are fine.
What,
Yeah,
cultural,
cultural
would that
assets.
work all right?
Yeah, I like those.
Like cultural rather than historic?
Yeah.
Okay, we can change that. I think that still captures everything.
I think
It's
it's.
a little broader than this one.
You can let culture do whatever you want.
And then we added the word representational in the last goal, kind of reflect again that the leadership is a representation of the diverse community, you know, just add a little more to that. But otherwise, like I said, there's no lot of change here, you know. So just want to make sure you're all guys are okay with that.
Continue to facilitate redundant.
Where's that? Continue to facilitate, maintain vibrant economy, continue to facilitate job growth.
It is.
Yeah, I would say maintain a vibrant economy and
Uh-huh.
facilitate job growth.
Okay, okay. Continue to, yeah, okay. You can make that change too. Anything else? They're all good comments. Appreciate it.
Animal quality housing option.
Yeah, so that comes back to my missing middle, when there are a bunch of character areas where we're not. I live in a character area that does not provide attainable quality housing options to anybody who can't afford a $600,000 house. You know what I mean? So there,
Well,
It-
ADUs
it's
are
not- so I wouldn't be able to afford to live in my neighborhood if I was trying to buy in now, you know what I mean? And I lived there 17 years, but it would not be, it was a more middle-class neighborhood when I moved into it than it is now. And there are certainly plots of land where the missing middle would ensure that two sets of Norcross residents would have a variety of attainable quality housing options,
Mhm.
where only one at a much different price point has that option now. So,
So does
I mean,
that change
I
the
don't
goal though? Is that still, I mean, it's still a viable goal, isn't it?
And
yes, so the goal is good, but I'm
Okay.
just not sure that we've not made any changes to any of the neighborhoods where there is just single family housing. To allow anything else, that we are in fact doing what needs to be done to ensure that Norcross residents have a variety of attainable quality housing options. I think of Lauren Summers, who's not here today, who's a real estate agent, who's on the DDA, who's one of the members of this. You know, every time there's a house for sale, I send her a picture and she's like, I can't afford to live in. You know, like a single family house for someone who's a working professional. Very hard to come by.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she might be able to afford a duet that looks like the McMansions that Carl Hallington puts up in my neighborhood, you know? So I'm struggling with, is the only way that we are ensuring that Norcross residents have a variety of attainable quality housing options is to build density stuff around the outer edges. What else are we doing that we've changed character areas to accommodate?
So we just rezoned a parcel one from Wheaton, which y'all have again, on West Peachtree, to allow affordable houses to be built with one single family house. That's
Yeah,
To your middle.
so you're
To
doing
that
that,
to your
you're
middle.
doing that in planning and zone. What are we doing in character that's going to continue that? You know, because this is gonna continue to be an issue that, are we dealing with it onesie twosies? Or are we making any slight modifications to these character areas that might?
So what gets back to the policy and character
Right,
areas.
right.
Sure. Sure.
All right, I'm Kelly Littlefield, I'm your new senior planner. I'm your new senior planner. So what the character areas are supposed to function as is a guideline for that overall geographic location. What you're talking about doing is transactional, which is exactly what Mr. Chief.
Yeah.
Mr. Chief proposed that it's by parcel rezoning. And so.
Right, but I can tell you, having lived here 17 years, that every single time anybody finds out about one of these things coming up, there's a great deal of public outrage. You know, I got a dog that got shot when they built the Brunswick, you know, I got history in this. And I'm saying you can make a slight change,
How does rewriting the character area change somebody shooting their dog?
because it doesn't have to come to him. If it says it allows duets, then you don't have to have this onesie twosie fight about it. It's just an okay thing to do, and it's not allowing apartments, but it is allowing a little bit more density on.
I'd like to finish up the thought.
Yeah.
for a moment.
So one of the things that this goal speaks to, and one of the things that I don't want to misinterpret what you're saying, but I hear what you're saying, is that we need options of not just single family housing, but also options of maybe a medium density product. Also options of single family, potentially attached housing, and then also some capacity for things like ADUs, possibly even.
The code already allows it. It's already allowed.
Yeah, it
By
does.
right, so.
But my point is that rather than amending it at a character area level, because land in Norcross is like land everywhere else, it's not flat.
Right.
And so if we put that over an entire character area, as many creeks as y'all have up here, not,
Yeah.
and that's not meant to be defamatory.
Yeah.
But as many creek, that would preclude development at a nuclear level because of the number of variances that our developers would have to seek out to develop that type of housing. So if we do it by the parcel and knowing what you do, correct me if I'm wrong. If we do it by the parcel in a zoning capacity and make those zoning options available, potentially creating the medium density and the missing middle densities that you're talking about, but we do it by parcel rather than by character area, it allows us in the planning department to condition those things appropriately because they may abut a lower density character area as opposed to maybe a Buford highway. So it allows us to work with that parcel as it comes in, rather than having this broad overreach to say, if in looking at this, no matter where you are in relationship to your major arteries, they can do it. Does that make sense?
No, I'm sorry. I'm not,
Well,
I'm missing what you're saying, why, how it addresses my.
What you say is she's doing it the rifle approach rather than the shotgun approach. And the rifle approach oftentimes is more effective from a planning standpoint because you have considerations at each of the property lines that may need to be addressed by certain conditions that are applied to the zoning that are then approved by. If you do a broad overview, then there are no considerations for property lines and adjacent property owners. Because you throw the blanket over the entire area that whatever's under the blanket.
Right, so how does that actually protect anybody who wants to take a plot of land, like in my neighborhood, and build a duet? If you're having to deal with getting the approval of the neighbors,
So
how does that actually make it any more likely this is ever gonna get done? Because that's the situation we have of every time something comes here, there's lots of people who complain about the next thing getting built, you know what I mean? And if it's allowed in the character area, doesn't all that go away? Like a duplex?
So
You know what I mean? Like,
It's a large single family house that is part of the, it's what you see, you know, your consider or, you know, cities is, yeah.
yeah, so there's cities that do it where it's like a corner lot.
Right.
It looks like the same McMansions, but there's one driveway on this street, one driveway on this street.
Wilbur did that with
You know,
their
they're-
downtown. They
Yeah.
built 6 parcels of, 12 parcels of 6 each.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is one they're wondering from.
yeah,
But to the point that you're trying to make, so within a neighborhood, the reason that you would not allow that to happen in the neighborhood is not to preclude that property owner from having the highest and best use, is to instill that continuity of design within that neighborhood. Because when that subdivision plat comes to play, you condition it as one planned unit of development. The missing middle that I'm hoping we're in the discourse about is those developments that come in as those individual units of development. We have a tract that we want to subdivide into duplexes, into cottage homes, into a smaller footprint. Not to build Whoville by any stretch of imagination,
Right.
but to build the attainable housing options that we're looking for and find those quality housing options. So when we do it and you allow your planners to actually work with the developers at the planning side of it and do it by parcel, it does ensure a certain amount of protection for our legacy homeowners. Whereas, for instance, in your neighborhood, if we were to throw that blanket approach, much like Mr. Iyer just said, if we were to throw that blanket approach over, say your neighborhood is the character area. And we say, okay, bam, duplexes are allowed, or triplexes are allowed. I guarantee you, every developer is gonna come in to buy those 1 and 2 parcels and say, we want to build a triplex. And then all of a sudden, you've got Country Crossing that you have in Rockdale County, which is the highest crime area in Rockdale County. And in East Metro Atlanta for that matter. So to prevent those things from happening, the idea is that you do this as a planned unit. You do it as a subdivision plat that comes in. And
Okay, I fundamentally disagree because what I've seen over 17 years is that there will be no missing middle. It will just not happen because it gets shot down.
So you're saying that in order to support the missing middle, that you adamantly support, you're willing to take all neighborhood controls off of any one of the character areas that we would suggest are appropriate for missing middle housing.
No.
Yes, because you're saying you're gonna throw the blanket over.
But
Nobody
I'm
has
imagining a blanket that is a much more missing middle than, I'm just saying, there's no missing middle in all the single family ones. And there are a variety of missing middle components that might be allowed in some of them, is what I'm saying. And I think you're interpreting it as a more expansive missing middle than I am.
Can I throw one other thing just to sort of change the conversation a little bit? To me, just as in character area 4 is prejudice to single family, most of these other areas are prejudiced against single family. So maybe prejudice isn't the right word, but you're not going to find single family in most of these other character areas. So to me, I look at the other character areas and I'm like, well, I can't live there because that's not quality, that's not a quality living arrangement that suits my family. So, that's another way to look at it, is that you're not going to find single family in most of these character areas.
Okay, moving on.
I think that this is probably more of a zoning issue than a comprehensive plan issue.
Yeah.
I want to take a look at the policies under goal 5, maybe provide a couple of suggestions that might cover that.
Okay.
At a high level, I think that this is something that could be addressed in the zoning level, which is not what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, actually, yeah, this is like the high look at everything. You're all starting to drill down, and a lot of what you're concerned about may be able to be addressed, already directly addressed in policy or action items. Or quite frankly, I think as Kelly was suggesting, maybe through your zoning, maybe we could look at some modifications to DDO that would address this. But I know there's a lot in DDO that already does allow a lot of it, so it depends on how you interpret it and administer it. So, yeah. Okay. Well, that was lively discussion. Let's see what we got here next. Oh, why isn't it? There we go. All right, as Jonathan was leaving, we have a set of draft policies here, and these are policies from the current plan with some changes that are highlighted here in red. For the most part, honestly, this is almost like homework, because if we sat down and went through all of this, we would be here probably till 10, 11 tonight going through it. What I recommend doing is, if you look through this, is look at those changes that have been talked about.
And they're not highlighted red for you, just if you reviewed all of them.
Yeah, look at everything, honestly. Yeah, it's like what you were talking about.
So we have the edits accepted version is what we're looking at.
And indeed, this is still draft. We're still looking at, so goal 5 was dealing with the housing stuff, for example. That's probably what you would want to look at more closely than any of them. And there are things like, accommodate housing to the work population by supporting the development of a variety of residential types based on land use patterns. Support the construction of workforce housing to help ensure that all those who work in the community have a viable option to live in the community without spending more than a third of their net income on housing costs, blah, blah, blah. So as you see, these are all basic, like I say, policy things that should be taken into consideration by the city. Now, a few were added here in the red. I can tell you, this was on the recommendation when we met with staff. They were originally actually action items that were in the original plan. But through all the housing work that in fact, you were a part of that, all the housing efforts and planning efforts that happened over the last 5 years, it kind of felt like they've already been kind of ingrained in what the city's doing. So they really are now more like an ongoing policy statement. So that's how they got added to this group here, support the development of equitable housing that is safe, free from health hazards through the application of national healthy housing standards. Apparently you probably know it better than I do. I understand it's a very thick document that goes through that. So I encourage you, like I say, because these are so lengthy and it's a lot here, take them home, mark them up, let us know what you think. What's that? Well, we would like, of course, before the open house, ideally, if you want it vetted at the open house, if it's coming up, I'll put it in. As long as, yeah, should we say the end of the week? This week? Yeah.
That's what I just wrote down, by end of week.
Any chance we can get this in a Word doc? So we can redline it?
Sure, yeah, we definitely.
Yeah.
We'll send. Yeah, I'm the same way. I honestly, it's weird. It's like I take notes and stuff, but it's like if I don't copy it down within like a day, I can't read my own writing. It's like, what was I thinking when I wrote that? I don't know. We're all typing now. We're all totally with you. So yeah, we can do that. We can certainly do that. Anyway, so like I say, all the action items in the plan are dealing with a variety of things. It's the goals, it's the policies, and then it gets into what we call the community work program. And the community work program is really the 5-year to-do list for the staff and everything that's there. But it's more than that too. It also deals with what we consider things that are ongoing. Again, there are a lot of sort of day-to-day operational stuff the staff does that's be kind of ingrained and they'll be flagged as ongoing. There are also items that'll be in the work plan, and we got this kind of marching order from the city manager that he wants to see as sort of aspirational. Things that the cities identify they have the need, but they don't have the funding right now. However, over the planning period, through the efforts of staff and everyone else, they may find a funding source. They may find an opportunity. Maybe a developer may build a property and there's a sidewalk there. So he wants us to flag what we call aspirational projects, things that kind of, I'll say, targets of opportunity. If something comes up and funding sources available, that they can go after it. And plus, it is identified long-range goal. This is very typical what you see in like comprehensive transportation plans and stuff. There's always this aspirational list of what's out there. The whole key is to try to find something that's implementable. So we talked about, each of what we're talking about now is kind of the potential action items that fall under each of the goals we just talked about. And this is based upon the input from community staff, previous plans, what we've seen. But what I want to do is kind of get your feedback on, is there anything missing? Is there something in these action items that we don't have that we've addressed so far? So priority number 1 came up, continue to define Norcross' unique sense of place. And again, we've talked about the wording of that. We'll change that. But priority actions, I always tell my clients, you should regularly evaluate the UDO, particularly for things like we just talked about. There may be situations where the regulations, there may be a court case that came down that's changed interpretation, and maybe the best practice that comes down and changes things, or indeed staff just finds they've had trouble administering it, so they may recommend changes. So that should be regularly done. Enhance maintaining the city's gateways. And again, we heard this is fairly controversial. Some people felt like it's a lot of money that could probably spend better elsewhere. I don't know. I'm curious, what do you all think about that church gateway stuff?
There were also a lot of comments about how
did it go?
there were also a lot of comments about how the gateways could signal to people they should slow down. They should take note.
And helps establish.
So that's part of that makes sense.
Like I say, I've always been a fan of it, but like I'm not. This is your plan. It's not my plan. So I'm just curious what you all think about it.
Norcross has a lot of gateways. First of all, there are a large number of entrances to the city. A large number of those entrances are high-speed corridors, which is difficult to provide in my opinion, are difficult to provide a scale of monument that allows it to be seen as people go by with 6 cars on either side of them at 40 miles an hour, 60, whatever it is. So Norcross is very difficult. It is very difficult to some of the other cities, Chambly's been doing it for a number of years. They've got their train signs and they plot down relatively simple. It's uniform. But Norcross just has so many entrances. If you start at Jimmy Carter, Peachtree Industrial, and work your way around, there's 20 or 30 entrances where you're coming from outside, inside the city. And a lot of those are Jimmy Carter, Buford Highway, Old Norcross,
Yeah, major arterial.
Beaver Ruin, so those are, it's tough on a corridor like that to provide a gateway that is adequate for an impact.
You just check the pick, the trail, Beaver Ruin. Beaver Highway, Jimmy Carter. You can have Jimmy Carter. If you just hit some of the big ones, you make them.
And yeah, I mean, you do have large monuments of those.
The other did have
Heaven Ridge and Japanese have
something over it. If you put a stone monument on the side of Jimmy
Right.
Carter, it's gonna.
Yeah, it's
go away
like
very
Snellville's done with that new, down that central intersection of scenic highway. In fact, your neighbor to the north has got the big bridge now that goes across, looking you in, so,
Go the other direction. Can you talk to DOT and let you paint the paper? Put a wide
Yeah.
band at the entrance so that people see more what's in front of them.
Decorative crosswalks is a possibility. I mean, we've seen it in other places. I know, Jeff, that was one of the things that we.
Yeah, FHWA just came out with a new guideline on our crosswalk markers as well,
I mean,
support that.
does
Yeah.
the gateway have to be a monument? Can it be just pavement marking?
Honestly, it can be a change in architecture. It can be a style. It can be a more defined character for the area. You kind of Chambly when you get into it, because things are kind of closer, more urban as you get into it. It's changed a lot, yeah, with the characters change. But anyway, that's just something, I mean, I'm not hearing super negative. I think it is something out there. You do have some gateways out there right now and something to consider, but support efforts to preserve the city's historic resources. This is one that was added, support efforts to conserve and enhance the city's nature-based assets. Continue to program community events like the Community Market, Gateway International Festival to celebrate the diversity and inclusive nature of the community.
I think the community market just pull out of that because I don't know that the community market. I don't know that that's an example that we want to use because we're iffy on how the community market's working right now.
Oh, really? This is a controversial thing?
Well,
I would say
it's not working.
Okay,
I'd take both out and say community events.
sure. Yeah, make it more generic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, because I think we're actually talking even about changing. There was some talk about rewording it, the Gateway National Festival name. People
Oh, really?
want to say,
Okay.
what's
That's an easy one to
Put in
fix.
diverse community events
Yeah.
that celebrate it's diverse there.
Well, it could just be. Continue to program diverse and inclusive
Community
community
events.
events.
Yeah.
Wow, that was short and sweet.
Very good, yeah.
Did that all in the house.
And then, of course, you all just recently, I believe, adopted the Master Arts and Cultural Plan, if that's right. So we've added that as kind of an action item. I thought it was interesting, I kept hearing from interviews and stuff, but for a long time that worked with the community about the need to build a new cultural arts center. And if you actually read the plan, it's saying work on, the culture, or just utilize what you got already better and kind of build more of an arts culture before you do that. I thought it's kind of a delayed reaction recommendation in there, which kind of surprised me. I was expecting to say, oh yeah, here it is, build it here, but no, that's not what it that's not what it said. So yeah. So is anything missing from that first goal that's kind of like an obvious, oh yeah, we need to include that kind of? Sounds good. You're all cool with that. Okay. Goal 2, continue to strengthen Norcross's livable, inclusive, and safe environment. So we talked about, expansion of historic downtown commercial district. Is historic, should that be taken out? Is that correct? I thought you might too.
So did the character area expand? In terms of commercial? Or is that pulling it all the way down, expanding the commercial district? Or is that not?
Not really, it hasn't really, I mean, I think, when I think of the expansion, I think of some of the new development you're all having right next to York downtown there. What's that, the south end? That's kind of what I'm thinking. It's kind of like, expansion of that core. It's right there. I think that's
Okay,
what.
'cause it just seems a funny thing if the comp plan wasn't. What does this mean? What does expansion mean in this context? If you weren't changing
Well,
what is expansion?
to me, this means expansion towards Beaufort Highway, to sort of try to tie in better with Beaufort Highway. So that's going down where the post office is,
Right.
that's going down,
Visual
Mitchell,
street, right, taking that house and just.
And we could even say that, encourage the expansion, historic commercial district down toward Beaufort Highway.
Oh.
How about that?
And so it geographically isn't expanding it, it's not expanding the district, it is expanding the commercial footprint within the.
Yeah,
district. Is that it?
and I mean, a lot of it's the visibility. I mean, some of the concerns that I think historically, areas are going in, of the area downtown is that people don't know it's here. People that just use this as a cut through or go down Beaufort Highway, they may not know that, the train depot and all these cool shops here. So expanding that historic node down toward Beaufort Highway increases its visibility. It's more likely you're gonna have, clientele come by and shop and whatever they do.
So then to that point, historic really does make sense. It should be the expansion of the downtown commercial district.
Yeah.
I think historic makes sense because at its core, that's what it is, the historic downtown, and that brand has to carry that. Plus, I've got to use them with historic word.
Kelly had a hand up, yeah.
Maybe historic character.
Historic character.
Yeah, you could say
Expansion of historic
That way we
character.
maintain a brand, we maintain the characterization, the characteristics of historic, the continuity of design with historic. We maintain that flow and that feeling and that coziness that Norcross is so.
So number 3, that was
Yeah.
a 3-year initiative.
Yeah, that was from the last plan. Is that
We are alums, but I don't think that should be listed as a priority action.
which
We are only.
we just take it out? Is there anything to substitute it with? Just take it out.
I don't know, but that was so
That's
5 years ago.
That's from 5 years ago. Okay, all right, we'll take that one out.
And on 5, do we really need to have the word youth in there?
Is it youth, health, wellness, and storytelling?
No, I
Or
think
is
it's
it
not,
actually
it's offer
all
health.
related to
You
youth?
could just take youth out. It's true. I mean, it's really for all citizens, all ages, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Not options, it's residents.
People.
People. Get back to our people.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else here?
Do we offer youth storytelling programs through the community center?
No, you do the lot.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so then continue,
Maybe.
do we
through-
offer health, wellness, and any other type of program?
So maybe the
Center?
community
Or
says it's too
active?
limiting. Maybe we should say through our civic facilities or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And instead of storytelling, you could just put entertainment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah. 'Cause
Okay.
storytelling-
this seems like a
I hope you got all that.
oddly.
Okay.
Instead of removing number 3 completely, can we change participate to maintain? Because we do have to maintain our status as a.
Don't you? Or do you?
So
You have to
staff
participate.
and we have to have at least 2 people go to the fall and the spring
Okay, there's a maintenance requirement.
as alums to keep our status,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, we can maintain, but
Yeah. I would put it towards the bottom of the list though, it's not.
yeah, it's not a high, yeah. There's no
It's like
intended
4 days
priority
a
here,
year.
but yeah. Okay.
If we don't go.
And we don't get to keep our alum status and we lose half a point when there are the 9% light development applications to DCA. So we get that letter from mayor and council in support of the development we choose to do so. But we've used that, you can only use the letter once, I think, in a 2-year period. And we used it for the expansion of the public housing development, that first development that won. And then we didn't need to do it for the second development for the senior housing that was awarded the next year. So we've actually won 3 LIHTC in 2 years. And I don't know that keeping gig is gonna help us all that much, because I just don't see DCA giving us another one anytime soon. So anyway, if you're gonna leave it, I'd put it at number 3 because it is such a small time and financial commitment for city employees.
Okay.
And I'm totally supportive of it. I'm just realistic about what it is at this point.
All right. Well, let me know if there's anything else here, or else we'll keep rolling down the list.
I think
Yeah.
that, just like the goal 1 you mentioned, the, cultural plan,
Uh-huh.
it would be nice if this would mention the parks, green spaces and trails plan,
Okay. Okay.
which I know is called out in some of these policies.
But yeah, but no, that's a good, well, yeah, make that note of that. If you don't see it somewhere else, we'll. we'll add it here. Good point, good point. Okay, anything else? Okay. Goal 3, increase opportunities for travel by different modes within and outside the community. So we talked about, investing in sidewalk and bicycle connectivity, which will, through the LCI program, hopefully we can get some funding for. Work with regional parks to expand transit service, continue to develop the robust trail and greenway system. Enhance the downtown parking through application of smart technologies and improve bus stops along Beaufort Highway, Beaver Run Road, Norcross.
I would take out the smart technology. Just enhance downtown parking,
Period. Okay.
period,
Okay.
to all means necessary and available.
Okay.
Can you
Yeah.
add along
All right.
the bus stop one?
Sure.
Bus stop at Pinnacle Park, it changed.
It changed.
Oh, sorry. And I'm sitting there looking for it. It's like, oh, there it is. Okay. Number 5.
Yeah, the last was a bus stop at Pinnacle Park
Okay.
as well.
So I have a critical part. Okay.
Yes, it was. Where's the police? Yeah.
Okay, anything else? We can go on. Maintain a vibrant economy and continue to facilitate job growth, or as we said, to facilitate job growth. Okay, business recruitment, retention, expansion initiatives, implement target industry study and strategic marketing plan. Which our study about to do another target industry study, I believe, or an update to it, I should say. Enhance tourism through filming and visitor engagement initiatives, develop market analysis tool to help identify and facilitate redevelopment opportunities. Has that been, I guess that's something you check with William on. I don't know if he's done anything toward that role or not. Yeah. Facilitate entrepreneurship and small business startups. Attract unique restaurant shops to do diversify downtown businesses, and continue to administer the downtown merchants incentive loan program.
I don't know anything about a downtown merchant.
Oh, really? Maybe we didn't do it last time.
We have a downtown business sod grant program,
Okay,
but
The sod grant?
that's sort of a down the weeds kind of type thing.
so we could probably take that off as a major goal.
Isn't
Maybe.
that PDA, not city proper?
PDA.
Okay,
So,
Yeah, you just change the say continue to support the downtown merchants.
yeah,
Leave it
yeah,
there.
you could, yeah,
Leave it vague.
leave it vague, sure. Okay, downtown merchant.
well, so, as the chair of your Norcross Development Authority, my focus is not just downtown, it's citywide. Why would we have a priority action to support downtown merchants and not
Merchants
merchants
overall.
period, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So continue to admit, okay, so. continue
But to
support.
me, there was another one.
And that kind of gets under the first one, really, business recruitment,
Yeah,
retention,
business recruitment.
expansion, yeah. Yeah, let's just drop it.
Yeah, I would just
We'll
drop
drop it. Make it simple.
I have a nitpick for the first one, it doesn't have a verb.
Doesn't have a verb.
Yeah.
Yes, we need a verb.
Support business recruitment retention. and
There you go.
initiatives.
Yeah, there you go. All right, number 5, ensure. Oh, did you see something? I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Okay, right, okay, here's the housing option, and this is the one that honestly, we had like a long list last time, and it's kind of got down to two, because some of it's gone into the policies. So this is where we really need your help, Stephanie.
So.
Tell us what goals,
we-
what actions should we add?
We participated in GIG and we implemented.
Right,
We did what we're gonna do there.
so we
that
talk
just
about
needs to come out.
maintaining, yeah.
Develop the pilot program, like,
What was the CSBG? CSBG.
What does that stand for?
communities.
Is the
CDBG?
weatherization program.
Community
from
development.
CDBG.
Where?
CDBG. It's
CDBG.
from DCA.
Yeah.
CDBG.
CDGP.
Oh, did, I'm sorry. Gosh, you take the time out.
We tried, but it's still going.
Still going.
I think both of those ought to be mixed and there ought to be new.
Totally new fire action plan. So.
Well, yeah, okay, so I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
So sort of things that attainable quality housing are. When we go to quality, there is, what the county has just done is an ordinance that allows them to do, inspections inside of apartments, inside dwellings,
Oh,
rather than just
okay.
outside. That's something that improves the quality of housing, and it's one of the things when we did the GIG program, one of the things that we discovered when we knocked on the door of every apartment in town is just how poorly maintained many of the interiors of these are. So that might be one.
So it's to implement a inspection
It is.
program of apartments?
An interior residential dwelling inspection program,
Okay,
you know.
for rental.
Don't you have to have my permission? I'm trying to remember how that law that ordinance got passed.
So I don't know all the details of what they've done, but they have finally passed. it.
EU decided that it was okay for an inspector to go inside a resident regardless of whether they were invited or not. So it was then transferred and it being accepted here as a way to quote unquote improve the quality of multi-family residential, but you know, you can look at it as a couple of different ways, but they have got around it. I think part of the way they did it was they adopted one of the building codes that allows for inspections, interior inspections. Maybe.
Yeah, I hope it.
So
So there's-
we'll read about it. We'll read it.
Yeah.
So
There's,
there's gonna be a challenge in court.
yep, there is. I've written 2 or 3 of these types of codes. I've also helped write one in another state. That has held up in court.
Pretty good.
Held right Greenville's, in South Carolina. But the idea is that it's specific for rental units, it's not owner occupied units. And it is specific for, I've seen them with, landlords who are not present on premise. So it's not intended to work for those that have maintenance on premise. Such as the Ferry, which has 18 people that sit in their lobby that wait for you to call them and report something. But it's designed for those absentee landlords is the one end of the spectrum. In the middle of the spectrum is where you have these conglomerates that own the properties. That's the way that DeKalb County is set up, is you have conglomerates that own the properties. They agree whenever they do their occupancy with the fire marshal that they agree to a code inspection as well. And provided that they remain up to snuff, they don't have to be inspected every year. But if we as the planning department, code enforcement, we receive multiple complaints, then it goes into a static. And then the other end of the spectrum is where the property owners actually hire a third party such as Safe Builder or Charles Abbott, one of the third party inspectors that is out there. They come in and they inspect the property and submit a report that yes, all of these items are up to code, these items are not. They require maintenance. We have receipts where we fix them. But as long as they maintain that inspection criteria, those are the 3 parts of it. And it's designed to protect your residents, your citizenry from primarily absentee landlords or a quote unquote slumlord, as the slang term is.
So anyway, we can add that.
So that would be whenever we're talking about
Mhm.
quality. Attainable is just, wherever we. However, we might bring some missing middle, because I know we talked about it on the NPA of, how difficult it would be to do, perhaps even just cottages on one little, or
Mhm.
tiny homes, you know what I mean? And like, it just, there seems to be an either or and not so much in the middle,
Right. Oh,
the
yeah.
opportunity. So however we can talk about
So
increasing the
goal
opportunity
to
for
the-
variety,
Right, okay.
that makes it more attainable because variety comes in at different price
Price
points,
points, right.
and then quality is just the, is the safety of the residential units that we've got now,
Okay, well, I'm sure you're gonna think of other things, so let us know. We would love to take your input on this, because I think, like I say, we want to beat this up a little more.
Yeah, and I mean, the last one, I don't know if anything's been done on that, but I would be curious what the city
Where did that
might
come
be
from?
able to do.
That's on the current
Where,
plan.
where did item number 2 come from?
It came from the current, actually, it was two different items in the last plan. I think post property management classes was a separate item. And we'd actually gotten some notes from Tracy Wright before she went out. She said they apparently went over the record accomplishments from last year. And this is what staff came up with last year. So I just merge it together and make it one item. I don't know if it should.
Well,
be one
that would be
item.
two separate ones.
You-
Our, green communities.
Oh, green communities.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right.
Okay,
It'll either be with green communities or it's with, part of what used to be called the home fund.
okay, yeah, yeah.
That, I don't know that Georgia has any more money in it, they may have in their ARPA, but,
Yeah, I
home
remember that one.
funds haven't been available for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
It just seems very specific and different opportunity for us.
Okay.
Maybe,
So
maybe
make it
Yeah.
more
intended to
broad-based.
be- maybe it was intended to be.
And so I know what it's addressing in the GET program was the number of homes in Sheffield Forest, and down Mitchell Road, those single family dwellings where there were. But what we've seen in the last 3 years is a number of those properties getting bought by out-of-state investors. So we're not dealing with the property management class to a local owner.
Mm.
We're not seeing
You're
that
not
as
seeing
much as we
the
were
SPP, or-
probably
yeah.
5 years
I
ago. So
gotcha.
I would think kind of the second half of that can come up, even if
Okay.
there might still be grant incentives for
Yeah.
the indoor air quality,
In
We'll take off. the
people that are taking over the building, more eventually, right there.
Yeah, THC.
And aren't they doing, homeowners, teaching them how,
They're doing, yeah,
It-
they have several programs that are kind of
right, here, one's here for that.
rental ownership.
to increase homeownership opportunities.
Right.
Yeah, but those are not mostly for people to take care of a home that isn't. I guess I was looking at this like it's a property management class assumes that the owner is renting it out to someone else, and that's
Right.
not what Layla's doing.
No.
And what she may be doing is a class to teach an owner how to care for their home to improve safety
They're
and
not-
property values.
Yeah,
She's not dealing with folks who are buying as investments.
gotcha.
That's not. It's just a weird thing
Okay.
that doesn't seem applicable to anything that's going on around there.
Councilman, I do have a question. Okay, did Norcross receive any MSP 3 funding?
I have no idea.
I don't know if y'all would qualify for it.
Yeah, that term doesn't sound familiar at all.
Cause this is under straight out of MSP 3
Oh,
funding,
really?
the 2015 round that came out.
How
And
about we
so-
take, I'm sorry, how about we take management of that out into property and just say property classes to teach owners how to care for.
Yeah.
To broaden it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if that's something the city wants to do, have at it, but
We've had various times in the city where some of these subdivisions like Sheffield Forest, don't have an HOA, and so rental has sort of gotten crazy in there. And so we've had times in which we've contemplated how to better manage all that, so maybe that was sort of toward that end.
All right, let's go on to the next, but yeah, we'll welcome any input before the open house. Further the city's tradition of strong representation, leadership, and high level of quality services. So a lot of the previous plan talked about, provide community support for non-native English speaking students and families. One thing that was brought up was hire a new community outreach officer. That's the last item there. There's several, I know the city's looking for that. Here's the Smart Cities Initiative again. That's something we want to have that, not have it there, and then develop a school needs community resource mapping tool. There's a lot that could fall under this, so I'm sure we could pick it up.
Well, one thing I would add is, I mean, it's one of the policies here, but it says, so the policy says ensure comprehensive and convenient recycling opportunities are available to residents and businesses. We don't offer recycling to businesses.
No, we do not.
Oh, okay.
So like, that would be, what are you calling these things?
These are priority actions.
Seems actionable to me.
To offer recycling to businesses?
Yeah, we should. And we go away more boxes and change statement.
Yeah, okay.
But we have no way to do that otherwise.
Okay.
I wonder what they mean by community outreach officer, don't we already have?
Yes, we do. A police community outreach.
I think we're talking about maybe also having someone here.
Or anybody else can stand in that.
Okay.
The conversation has come up, but I don't know if it's been pursued.
Well, that's good. I think we have the community.
Yeah, we
police.
just have that officer, but we have a police officer.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, we just kept hearing the need for more community outreach from City Hall particularly. So it's for
That could change the support community outreach officer program.
sure, yeah, be good. Yeah.
So
Make it a little broader, so it's like higher,
provide community support for non-native English speaking students and families. That is,
Let's
to
get
be
together.
very focused on just students.
Yeah, we
and
could
not
take out,
just
we could take out students.
Families
Yeah.
or community members.
Should we go to people
And,
again?
and what is it, mean? How is that for, that to me is
Yeah.
kind of a weak statement.
Ah,
It's feel good, but what
Right,
does that
right.
mean as an action for city employees to
true.
provide community support? What does that mean? Does that mean that you have all frontline staff are bilingual, Spanish and English?
I want that to happen, yeah.
Right, so what are we talking about here? What have they been
Sure.
doing for the last 5 years that they're checking off this box? What are the
Well, they're
things
not checking off the box. We're trying to create the box for the next plan, so that's kind of
so
what.
this didn't come from the last one?
It did, but
But
we're
then
like,
how-
we're now trying to, update it and see it, but this is a box we can't check off, because it's too vague. If it's your point, then let's get rid of it. Or let's find a better way of phrasing it, something that's more actionable.
This is really a school system act.
If
And we
you-
don't control our school. We have
Right.
nothing to do with
We
it.
could take out the word students, I think. Yeah.
And the school needs community resource matching.
Mhm.
We don't control our schools. We have no saying over our schools. We
Well,
can
so that's-
encourage the PTO.
Right, and work with them and all that, but yeah, you don't.
No, so that's a little different though. That is, we don't control the schools, but we do control what our community resources may match to help the schools. So that one I can understand how that gets implemented. That's and we've done that in the past. We've had, like you think of Bobby Adamsack, who comes around and works with the community to get all of the resources she needs for the Chairs for Charity at the Art Fest every year.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Takes old chairs and window frames and things like that, and then the kids paint them and sell them and raise money. So there's things like that where if we have a matching tool for this is what the school needs, then the community is able to fill it in. So
Okay.
that makes more sense. I think
Is it more, so it's not necessarily develop the tool, it's more like, use or implement,
and
right?
continue to use or maintain.
Yeah.
Maybe it's at this point maintain.
Right,
And then, communicate it. Market it better so
it's,
people are
it's
aware.
all, you're right,
Yeah.
it's all about communication, right? Trying to get the
Right.
word out, so, yeah.
But then the community support, to me, maybe maybe a way to rewrite it, if you're talking about, these are priority actions for city staff. Is, cultural competency, it's having, if you don't have all bilingual staff, that you have at least somebody in every front-facing department who
Right.
speaks Spanish, you know, those are just sort of real basic things. It's that all of the written materials that are provided in English be provided in Spanish, you know, things like that, that help to support the community
Right.
who's not native English speaking.
And those are blocks we can check.
Yeah, those are like,
Yeah.
we have I work for Kaiser Permanente, we have SMART goals, it's gotta be, you know. And that would be a smarter goal than this
Okay.
vague term.
How about if not already, like, actively pursuing relationships with ethnic and cultural groups around the city? Is that something else? Another specific action?
I'm not sure how city employees are gonna do that. You know what I mean?
They have to deal with who comes to them.
Right.
That was tying
Yeah.
into the
But-
hiring the community outreach officer.
So, yeah, that's true.
Going to them.
But, so that could also be a specific action for that person.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to-
Yeah.
like-
I just think that's a proactive measure at doing processes like this, because if we're not hearing from this community, like what
Right.
to do ahead of the game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about for number one, sort of rewording it to where it's like, ensure city assets or city assets, trying to say, ensure that the city resources are equally available for folks that are non-native English speaking, you know, so.
Yeah.
In other words, make sure that customer service is, we have
Right.
interpreters for the police where they can work with anybody, any language, you know, so make sure that the city resources are available equally to non-native English speaking
Yeah.
folks, you know,
Okay.
and that's a box that can be checked.
Yeah.
All right.
But I did like this.
We'll think through that.
Yeah, we'll think again, you know, this is, the whole point is just to start the dialogue, get you guys thinking, and I think it's a good idea. That actually is the end of the goal session, and what that's going to do is then tie into the community work program, which we're working with staff and all that. And so before we run out of time, I did want to get some time for Jeff and talk about the LCI, transportation funding and all that. Key things to consider, you know, as you go through this is that transportation funding through the LCI program is competitive. You know, Norcross is competing with all the other LCI communities, and what they're looking for is sort of a history of implementation, the fact that you actually have done what you said you're going to do. A key thing to keep in mind is that the next round of application is going to be the spring according to ARC. So it does behoove us to get this thing approved before spring so that you can be, you know, ready to punch it out with another community and get that funding. And all projects, they highly recommend that projects support complete streets, that of course equity is important, make sure that these projects, if they help serve, you know, the needs of disadvantaged communities have a plus. And then of course the local map is always 80/20. You know, something to keep in mind. Even though you can qualify for a lot, you gotta make sure the city's got the funding to get that 20% match. And the different grants run between 2 million and 15 million, typically around 5 million. So these are big pots of money, you know, but of course you gotta have the match. So with that, I will turn it over to Jeff. I'm gonna talk all the fun details.
This is a preview for next steering committee a bit. Yes, we're gonna sort of extend this further, this discussion, because I did pass out this packet here, which includes slides like this. So I did divide I want to say we took about 87 project recommendations and removing the ones that have been completed or are no longer applicable, and keeping the ones that are kind of ongoing. I think we were down to 65. And those are the ones that went into the survey from the virtual meeting. And now we're down to, I think, about 50 some odd, after talking with staff and realizing that there's an overlap with things like future development that's going to probably take care of a sidewalk for us and doesn't necessarily need to be leveraged with LCI funding. So, yeah.
This
So-
is only focused on the town center, LCI
Yes.
area.
It is. So yeah, I have not looked outside the LCI area when I'm talking about any of these projects, but some of these do kind of like lead out of the town center area, especially when it comes to the definitely the trails, like the Greenway trails. I think definitely connect to a lot of these. So I've subdivided the bike and multi-trail projects into 3 categories here that remain. So we've got Sharrows.
What is that?
Sharrows are the lane markings.
Share the lane arrow.
The share the lane arrows. There's a couple of different designs. I've actually got a couple. Not this one that I made Friday was that. But they're appropriate for wayfinding. They're appropriate to let the cyclists know where in the lane is the safest portion of the lane for them to travel to avoid, say, door zones for parked cars. They don't add safety in and of themselves. They should be put only on streets that are currently safe for cyclists. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we do have guidelines from NACTO, the Association of City Transportation Officials, on you don't want to put it on any road that's faster than 30 miles an hour. You don't typically want to put a share there. You don't typically want to put a share on high volume roads, just because both of those conditions are not comfortable for cyclists, and giving them a share on that road tells them that that is a road that is going to be best for them. In those situations, you would more be appropriate to look at separating those bike facilities that have that level of safety. So I'll say that all of these on this list meet that criteria, except there is a section of Holcomb Bridge Road here to South Cemetery Street. That is generally a little bit higher volume than those NACTO guidelines. So while, that could be looked at further, there could be maybe other mitigating improvements added to improve the safety of cyclists there. That's something that's not necessarily a given as far as this is a great route for cyclists, because maybe a little traffic, right? They may be running up against a lot of cars.
Very steep.
It is very steep coming down from those railroad tracks. Yeah.
Sure it is, but the other side, like I just did that the other week, and I had to go on the sidewalk because there's so many cars.
So I don't know where.
Holcomb Bridge to Buford.
I don't know about multi-use paths down North Peachtree and some of Holcomb Bridge too, because there's currently a 4-foot sidewalk probably on average, and if we were to put in a 10-foot wide multi-use path, that's going to be really disruptive too.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it's. I think it connects to those trail master plans that have been done in the past, and then that's kind of where these are coming from. They were also in the 2012 LCI recommendations too. So these have kind of been around, but as far as how they get prioritized, that's definitely up to this group, right? When it did come to the Sharrows, I did put 3 as high ranking, and they ranked the highest in the scoring rubric, which is in the packet. But it basically goes from Buchanan and over down Park Drive and out Lawrenceville. So if you can make a sort of a Sharrow path there, I'd say that would probably be. I can see. That would probably be, if you're looking for a first place to try it out. That's going to be one of maybe the better routes to do, just because it's near a school. It's already low volume, low speed. It connects a bunch of parks together.
Some of that's one way though.
Yeah.
So it would give you a trail in the direction.
And Lawrenceville Street is very high volume in the morning
Yeah.
and in the evening.
Maybe I
Like, I'll
could
be honest, if I have to take Lawrenceville, if I cut through City Hall, and I know that you're not supposed to cut through, but like, that's.
making it worse.
I mean, if you're looking to do that to like get to school, there's
back.
not a lot of kids coming from my neighborhood. It was one of the parents sent my kids to Norcross Elementary, who would be riding their bikes get to Norcross. You know what I mean? So it's sort of a, and to their point, Buchanan and, Thrasher are one way
Yeah.
heading home from school, but, you know. So I can sort of see it coming home from the school, Norcross Elementary, maybe taking Wingo, but
Yeah, so maybe,
but Lawrenceville is not a street, kids are gonna, that's not an easy.
so maybe those priorities get shifted then, as for the high priority, that gets reshuffled away from Lawrenceville and towards Wingo. As a, you know, if we're gonna do any of these, maybe these are the first ones we do,
Frankly, to me.
or you remove it.
The highest importance of all these would be multi-use down Beaufort Highway. Because
Yeah.
it's such a car-driven corridor, and if you could make it to where it was more of a bikeable corridor safely. That could be great, you know.
And honestly, there was a lot of supports, I think, in the public comments for anything will be good, and the plan. I was in the 2012 LCI plan, it's the Beaufort Highway Master Plan, it was in the 2008 Norcross Activity Center LCI plan. It just keeps coming up. But when you talk about projects that had impact, that's certainly one of those. So I left it TBD as a discussion point.
Yeah, and then I mean, I'm thinking of kids who might bike, I mean, you think about the big Holcomb Bridge line. I can sort of see you getting to Mitchell Road, but you gotta get through downtown, and then. If you're taking it all the way out to Peachtree Industrial, there's no safe way to get up Peachtree Industrial to Paul Duke.
Yeah, there's a 10-foot sidewalk all the way. Majority of the way up.
Not all the way.
No, that
No.
multi-use trail ends, like, before Norcross city limits, that multi-use trail is not good.
Yeah, it ends at the Waffle House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like way back
I
there.
mean, to me, I would prioritize multi-use paths going from Beauty Baldwin up towards the library and then up and down the corridor, the
Yeah.
Beaufort Highway corridor, and then if any bit of Beaver Ruin is in that, where you could more safely get people around Beaver Ruin to Polk Ridge to Beaufort Highway from the summer hour, middle school too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
Because they're just, I don't know who's coming from Peachtree Industrial at Holcomb Bridge into downtown.
Right,
I see
Yeah.
it actually quite often.
do I know?
I see them riding on the sidewalk.
And then there's not even a
I- I-
sidewalk. Yeah, there's not,
Right.
it's not a complete sidewalk
So if you're
there.
building that out, then build it.
But to me, it ought
It's two schools.
to come from Peachtree Industrial and get down to about the Episcopalian Church and then convert into like a Shero or something, but even then, it's tricky, especially with the city not controlling that road.
So Josh, you said earlier that multi-use on Holcomb Bridge and North Peachtree maybe shouldn't be priorities. I disagree because, and especially after I read the survey results, people talked about like there was mixed sentiment about North Peachtree. We've already got a sidewalk, it's a ton of pedestrians, adding bikes would cause problems there. Well, but cyclists don't have any room on Holcomb Bridge or on North Peachtree, so they have to ride on the sidewalk right now. And that is not safe for the
Right.
pedestrians.
But what I would do is instead of changing the historic sidewalk path, I would add, 2 feet of asphalt to the side of the road, of both of those roads, and create sharrows that were actually
Bike
viable.
lanes
Bike
instead.
lanes, right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The volumes there, I think it would be more.
I would-
Have something about it.
I would love to do road diets, because that's another way to slow people down. So get those lanes tighter and create a road diet to where people would, they're more deferring to bicycles.
Yeah, I think minimum width for a bike lane. is gonna be like that.
And so I think of it, if you look at Peachtree Industrial, if there were a way to get it to go past Paul Duke and then maybe come down Rex Miller. Or even up to where North Peachtree comes out of Langford and then Peachtree Industrial. So that you kind of create a triangle. Because then that would create pathways for students to get to the 2 high schools. And Give West, they have to provide their own transportation. You know what I mean? So if you increase bike lanes for those kids to be able to get to high school, that increase their commute. And then I know my daughter goes to Paul Duke from our house on Longview. It's 2 miles to get to her school either direction. And so if she she had a safe bikeway, she could do it. Right now, she cuts through somebody's backyard, comes in the back of the parking lot, but you know, but
Yeah.
that might become a more useful circle, if you will.
Mhm.
With these two dead ends that then you dead end it at a place where it's not safe for these people to continue their bike path or track, if you will.
Yeah, like North Peachtree here, it ends right there at that intersection with Langford.
Yeah.
And if you go up there, that's where that trail is, along Peachtree Industrial. And a lot of the survey results were like, we need a connection between
Yeah.
North Peachtree Street and the trail that's on PIB.
Yeah, because that's on that goes from the right side of Medlock and up, but it doesn't connect this wedge that we're seeing here. Yeah, and that would be much more useful to families whose kids go there.
Yeah, so I think, if we can take a look at these, when you're looking at those LCI funding opportunities moving forward, like having those tactical, like, this is a system of
Yeah.
trails and sharrows
Right.
would make a better application.
Yeah,
So I did provide some of the metrics that kind of went into my initial ranking of this, but I mean, if it was a trail, I put it high rank because that long line your priorities in goals. So same for bike lanes. So if it was a trail, it's a priority was we support expanding trail systems. So you can comment on that and we can keep working through it. So the pedestrian projects, I had to come up with more than 3 groups. So I did group them geographically. So I've got our school area sidewalks, right, around the elementary school. I've got 2 areas where I've called downtown sidewalk expansion. Sort of pushing those connections to that retail, historic, culturally significant downtown Norcross. I've got the Beaufort Highway streetscape, which if you look at the trails, there's a big trail that goes across here, so it's kind of a flip-flop. We've got Beaufort Highway connections, just some missing sidewalks, and those are existing on one side, but not on the other, for those 2 particularly. And just neighborhood connections.
Why is a residential street using the sidewalk on the side?
Well,
I mean,
residents required to cross over,
Stevens has 3 houses on it.
Yeah.
2 once you're gonna go away from the police department.
Yeah, and actually Stevens is one that was recommended to be removed from the list because when the public safety facility goes in, it could add a sidewalk frontage.
You're all the time now.
How is that?
I don't think it does. I mean,
Stevens?
Lively.
Lively, I think there's partial up to a point.
But only got the bank and,
The
house.
it's a.
Yeah, see, so I've got sort of the initial ranking. Again, the packet goes over some of the metrics that were kind of looked at to get that sort of first draft. Things like where the pedestrian crashes, and of course, that's going to be an exposure sort of right? Where you have lots of pedestrians, there's going to be more pedestrian crashes, so Beaufort Highway lights up. But
Are you talking about adding sidewalks to both sides of the streets on some of these things? Like here's a
some of
sidewalk.
these, some of
There's a
these,
sidewalk down Arsenal Street, up Wingo and all that stuff. I run that every.
Lawrenceville Street's one that I think we put at low because it does have sidewalks. Well, at least this side of Lawrenceville has sidewalks on both sides. They are 5-foot sidewalks. The old LCI recommendation was to expand that to an 8-foot sidewalk with streetscape improvements, which may not necessarily be your highest priority when there's missing sidewalks.
I'm more of the opinion with the residential streets we have, rather than doubling up one section, why not extend into another section that doesn't have sidewalks at all?
Yeah.
Take that sidewalk,
yeah,
footage and apply it somewhere where, look at Sunset. Sunset's got a sidewalk for the whole length of it on one side.
Mhm.
It's a major collector, so technically there should be a sidewalk on the other side, but That extend their sidewalks to the neighborhood. Rather than running a parallel sidewalk, they have a safe resident street.
I have to agree with that. I don't get another sidewalk. I need a sidewalk on my street.
Right.
Yeah.
One valley,
Yeah.
one-
And I think that's where the ranking comes in, right?
Yeah.
You know, if there's a missed street with a missing sidewalk, that's maybe more of a higher priority.
Or if there's a, if there's a missing, like right now,
Carlisle, for
Right.
example.
Ruth has got 4 new houses and there's one in the middle that doesn't have a sidewalk, so at the top of the hill, you don't have a sidewalk. So, yeah, I mean, again, my priority would be to add length of sidewalk, not parallel sidewalk.
Yeah, I wonder why you've got double sidewalks there on Beaufort Highway streetscape, because that's already got sidewalks on both sides.
It does, the description for that one is to widen the existing sidewalks from 5 to 8. So, which is why I didn't put it in the trail list. Yeah. And that was again, it's carryover from the 2012 LCI. I think it's probably if you're gonna be widening out there, probably better to do the trail than the sidewalks, but, and buffered at that, not the sidewalks that are, there's nothing between the sidewalk and the curb. On some of those sections.
And used to have it where we extend sidewalks to places that don't have sidewalks, not do any.
I mean, I could remove everything on here that already has an existing sidewalk, or we could just change that to a low priority.
I think you gotta remove them. I think you're limited to budget. You got a budget.
Right, so tier 3 aspirational, you can call it whatever you want, but I mean, do you want to forget it?
I think, get it. So you get a sidewalk in every location. Then you go back and double up, sir.
Well, so is there anything left? Like this?
Butyl, rake straw. Like I said, Carlisle, Magnolia is gonna get done as part of development. That one doesn't have any. Let's see.
What's between Fresh Park and Uncle Bridge, it's sidewalk there, I walk it every day.
This one is a widening. It's a multi-use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have my plan. Yeah, the other thing you gotta be spending your money on,
You guys,
police salaries.
all of the down road issue, you have storm drain. I mean, you have storm drain infrastructure that's between the sidewalk and the street. So you start widening, putting all that non-pervious surface up there.
There is a missing sidewalk though there, between Thrasher and Holcomb. On the one side, there's sidewalk.
Yeah,
not
on the south side, there's not, but on the north side, there is. But if we're
Yes.
talking about anywhere where there's not.
So if you think about where people are, like, how many times they have to cross the street to get to the sidewalk?
Yeah, I know.
I would say that's a annoying section.
It would
be
be.
nice to have a sidewalk.
So maybe there are some
It's like on Barton as well, there's parts where you go like crisscross.
Yeah, you do get Norcross, cross street, and then cross back to Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dean.
And then, yeah, there is a crosswalk on all 4 legs of this and all 4 legs of this, but no sidewalk connected here.
Yeah, so like I would prioritize sidewalks that are missing on one side if it means that it reduces how many times,
Yeah.
across the street.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
yeah.
I'll take that.
So Barton and then that section of, what is that right there? That's North.
Well, it's West Peachtree.
The previous slide will have.
No, I'm just panning when I hit the arrows.
I would say we are at time, just to be respectful of your time, but I want to, maybe we send this out as a PDF too. And you guys kind of speak all the policy comments.
Yeah, all these are in your handout with more, I'd say. So, if you want to see, you know,
What about
which ones are
the railroad
closest to
crossings?
schools or which ones.
What about the railroad crossings? Like those are missing.
The railroad crossings are removed because they are
What?
designed and funded, I believe.
Okay.
So, no need to look at future LCI funding. I figured let's get rid of it as white noise. So these are the non-bike head projects that remains the last one. Gateways, I think have been talked about earlier today. So these pink ones were where the previous LCI had identified gateway projects. Take that or modify it. I didn't know how to rank these. I threw low rank on them now, but that's because I was focusing on bikes. Roundabout project for South Peachtree and Norcross Tucker, and parking. This one was controversial in the public comments. So parking and sidewalk there on Thrasher. That's it. I've used all of your time. Next, tune in next time.
As you see, you know, you can get into the meat of this kind of conversation. Quite easily and use up time, but I guess your homework, are there any projects?
What are we missing is the homework.
Yeah, what are we missing is the homework, I guess, you know, the next slide, you know, the next, we have the public open house on the 19th. We'll be going to the planning commissioner on November 8th for their review in Transmittal, and the 20th goes to a city council work session. And then on the 4th is the actual city council regular meeting transmittal hearing. So by then, we will then send it off to ARC and PCA for their review to make sure that we check off all the boxes that you have to have for such plans, and then we'll have the adoption hearing for January and February. So that's, and I think we have one more meeting in January, right? Talk about the LCI at the meeting.
Yes, thank you. And here you have a noun when you need to go for.
Where's that?
Adopt.
Oh, adopt your.
Adoption of.
Like I say, you know, this is the hard part really of the whole planning process. This is really where we're, like I say, you know, rolling for state planning workers. We really love, appreciate any help you can all pick on the housing stuff. Definitely we'd love to get your input on that and stuff. So, you know, the plan is only as good as we all kind of take ownership and get into it. So we're just having to take ownership, get into it. Got some comments there?
Send it in words, please.
Send word.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did everything else, y'all. The next meeting is tentatively January 9th. So we'll be in touch about that, but so that puts us in the issues with any committees. So that's weird.
Sorry, you could do all this.
But January 9th, please focus on LCI.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you all. A lot to digest.
My life is.
January 9th is next year.
We get to go on Sunday. November 15th. Our son Cooper's at Georgia Tech, he's doing the PhD program.
Sorry.
So we get to spend.
That's why I volunteered. I knew I was the most urgent.
Has a 3-day weekend every week. You know, he has been in more European cities than.
We can spend a day going through projects and probably get pretty solid by the end of it.
Mechanical engineering.
Do we need to turn off?
He's looking for internships in, he wants to go super far.
Oh, we need to end the record.